Hey everybody, welcome to a very special 91st episode of Taps and Patience. I'm here with Harrison and a whole bunch of other people. This is our Patreon episode. We are recording live with 4 of our Patreons currently. We're going to start by doing our normal announcements because I don't want to forget them later. So to begin with, I want to thank our Patrons, many of which are here in person. Those Patreons include, but are not limited to, Trey from Vestal Machining, Guy L, Eric H, Alex B, Scott from Design the Everything, Jamie from JSpec Engineering, Chris from Zajic Precision, EJ from Nocturnal Welding, Simon V, Chris from ThoughtBomb Designs, new Patreon member, 1Z2Z Systems, and as ever, Jake Brownson. All of our Patreons get early access to all of our episodes and a coin that Harrison should be making at some point here that I, after only 6 months, have sent him the design files for. And of course, you can participate in our weekly Q&A, which I definitely did not think about doing this week. So thank you, Patrons. We really appreciate you guys. And all of your money is going to our IMTS meetup and getting Harrison and I to IMTS.
I think we'll be able to get a few questions from this group right now. So
yeah,
I think you're covered. So
do I do any other? Oh, IMTS meetup Monday 2 p.m. on the 9th of September at the Tormach booth. And people have asked, no, this actually isn't a Tormach meetup. You don't have to be interested in Tormachs to come. This is a Taps and Patience meetup, but Tormach has been kind enough to host us. So, and they should be providing at least water and coffee, if nothing else. So.
Do they have anything we can sticker bomb?
I mean, sure. I'm sure they'll have machines there.
Because maybe we all need to sticker bomb a machine in the Tormach booth just for fun.
There might be a machine that it would be sticker bombable, but I don't think it'll be in the booth. At least I hope it won't be in the booth.
So, anyways,
I'll let you guys use your imagination on that one. Yeah, so let's do introductions. So, like I said, right now we have 4 Patreon members plus Harrison and myself. So, I guess let's start with Eric. I don't know if you guys are in the same order on your screen as you are on my screen, but for my screen, top left to bottom right, let's do introductions. So, Eric first.
Okay. So my name is Eric Hannett. I work at a company called the Manufacturing Collaborative, and I'm kind of embedded in a college up in Vermont, and we bring actual customer parts into the college so that the students can see real life parts, and then we also try to kind of give access to equipment and technologies that other shops wouldn't be able to. So as you can see, the big machine behind me, not a lot of shops can get one of those, but you can actually come in and I can actually train you on how to use it. We also have an additive department that does stainless steel printing, Inconel printing, really any kind of metal printing. And my primary job is to post-process those parts as well. So holding on to 3D printed items can be difficult. So yeah, just happy to be here.
Where were you when I was going through college? That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, you're up. Alex B.
Hey, Alex Block. I don't know, Alex B, Alex Block. I teach at a local community college. I teach the second year of the program. So I get to do all the CNC, which is the fun stuff. And yeah, we don't get to do outside parts, which I kind of wish we could, because more hands-on is the better. So I'm in charge of developing all of the second year of the program and recruiting and all the fun stuff. And it's interesting. Yeah, and that's my quick thing.
All right, Johnny. You got to unmute yourself.
There we go. How's that? Boomer moment, first time. Yeah, my name's Johnny Woods. My company's 049 Machine, and it's just me here by myself trying to learn how to figure this out and have a little fun along the way, and that's pretty much it. So I wanted to thank you for extending the invitation out to all of us. This was a pretty good idea. I think it's going to be some fun.
So,
Were
what
you?
machine you got? Just out of curiosity.
I started with a old 1996 Matsura pallet changer, and then it grew some fun spindle sounds, and I was starting to get some more customers, and so I thought I really don't want to approach new customers as a new shop and then have a little moment on the first job. So I took the plunge and got a Speedio S700, and once I got that here and up and running, and I took the spindle out of the Matsura and rebuilt the bearings myself, thanks to Robin Renzetti's spindle rebuild video. Followed it as closely as I could, and just kind of winged it. I got that first machine for basically like the price of a couple of ices. So I was not about to pay Elliott Matsura $16,000 to put new bearings in it. So I just kind of risked it and did it myself, and it actually turned out totally fine. It's like fixed, silent.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a little lathe too. I've got one of the Tormach 15L slant beds. That's a good little machine. I'm hoping for future sake that they give it the same treatment that they just gave the 1500. That would be sweet.
Okay, and EJ?
What's up? I'm EJ at Nocturnal Welding. I have a day job at the local university where I do all the welding and CNC machining for the maintenance department. And then I come here to my shop, Nocturnal Welding, after work, and then work and make parts here all night. Just job shop stuff. I have a couple of my own parts, for like Dodge Rams and stuff because I'm kind of into racing too. So, but yeah, that's basically it. And I got a Haas VF1.
Got that superhero lifestyle.
Yeah, I know. I've been doing this for like 12 years. So
Nice.
Okay, so this is only going to work for the people watching the video. But raise your hand if you are somehow working for a university or other educational system. So we have 4 out of 6. And, okay, how many people do any amount of job shop work? So we have, 5 out of 6. Okay. Interesting. I wonder...
How many of you guys work for yourselves?
Hey, Johnny, you never had a Pocket NC, did you? Was that a different Johnny?
Yeah, that was a different Johnny. I started with the Matsura.
I could have sworn there was like a Johnny Woods who made RC parts on a Pocket NC.
I just looked that up because I was wondering if that was
okay.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's a pretty common name.
Johnny Q90 is his YouTube channel, and he does RC. Right. He does RC parts with a Pocket NC.
I knew there were numbers involved too. Okay.
Yeah. I already Googled
it. Nice.
So, since so many of you guys here are in education, I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a bit. We talked for a while before the episode started, but like, what do you guys see as being the biggest problem right now in teaching machining stuff?
Well, for me, right now, the hardest problem is just having time to even come up with a good course for them. But I would say student in where I'm teaching, it's not a requirement. It's an elective class. And so, and I'm teaching engineers. These are people that are not going to touch a machine probably when they leave the university ever again. This is just a class to help them use the equipment that they have to do their senior and junior design projects and kind of get them educated enough to where they can make some stuff on their own. And I would say the hardest part for me in that environment is that most of the kids aren't actually interested in the CNC machining and are interested in it as an easy class, and trying to inspire. You can tell there's usually one every year that just like eats it up and goes hard, and everyone else is just kind of like, whatever. This is a grade. That's all I need. So, and finding a way to get them all engaged is a challenge that I do. I try to inspire them at the beginning of every year the best way I can.
For me, it's kind of the same thing, but it's finding time to do all the other stuff, right? Like, I'm the maintenance guy for all of our machines. I'm the one developing content. I'm the one recruiting, you know, making sure that the classes are scheduled at the proper times, making sure my students are registered for those classes. That, and, you know, what do I teach? The state tells us 3 lines. Like, we get 3 sentences of, this is what you will teach in this class, and it's vague. Like, you will learn how to operate a CNC turning center. That's as in depth as they get. So figuring out what to teach, what to buy. Like, I'm the only one that's gonna get a new machine in there. I have to figure out what machine do we need, and then a lot of that's working with advisory committee from local businesses. But when you have that advisory meeting and they say, well, we want you to teach more indicating. Okay, what else? Do you need us to learn a FANUC control? Are you okay with the Haas control? Where are we going from there? So that's my big thing. And coming at, like we were talking about earlier, coming up with projects is a struggle for me. I'll machine anything, you give me a print and a model, but coming up with projects and putting GD&T on it and all that, when I didn't really use that stuff in school, and I didn't really use it after school before I started teaching. So that's where I struggle.
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing we run into is that people just don't know what it is. And when you say like this is a major industry and we desperately need programmers and operators, then we also run into an issue where a lot of these shops are having a hard time hiring people. Up in the Northeast, we don't have as robust manufacturing as you do in the Midwest. So it's just once people realize what it is, then they get a little bit more interested. But getting I've had a lot of companies come in and like, man, we really need programmers. And, well, we make programmers. And well, we didn't even know you'd work here. So yeah, it's just like almost like a marketing problem. We don't have good marketing.
I think that's a problem with machining in general, right? Like, you go on the street and say, hey, I'm a welder, and most people know on the basic level what welding is. Most people don't know what machining is. When I started, an instructor said, have you ever used a caliper? I'm like, you mean the part on the car? Like, what? Like, I had no clue. So, most people don't. And that, like you said, it's a marketing issue.
Yeah, I would say that there's a good portion of engineers that are people that go to school to become engineers that are guys that are just hands-on guys that grew up making stuff, and they're like, oh, what's a field that designs or makes things? And they go, oh, it's an engineer. And then they go in there, and within the first 2 years, they drop out into a different career because it's not as hands-on as they were hoping it would be. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I really try to get kids in my class specifically as early as possible. I've gotten a few freshmen in. They normally want us to do it for like juniors and seniors, but I try to get them in as young as possible, as early as possible, because not everyone that comes in as a freshman or a sophomore is gonna go through engineering to the end. But a lot of those guys would be great fits for a trades type job like machining, and I've had several that would just be. You can tell they struggle in their classes, but they absolutely eat up the machining side. And that would have been me in school, honestly. If I had known about this in school, I don't know if I would have finished engineering and if I would have just gone into machining because I love it so much.
Yeah, I kind of started my course in engineering and then ended up at this school that is an MET. So I kind of fell into machining and fell into like the perfect program for what I wanted, but I thought it was just an ME program. Again, the marketing was bad, but I'm happy I made it in. But yeah.
So what do your students tend to struggle with? Are they like, is it CAD? Is it CAM? Is it speeds and feeds? Is it running the controllers? Like, where do students have the hardest time?
I would say probably the biggest thing is when you tell them you can do anything. Like you can design anything, you can manufacture anything. And now you have a student that, come to us in high school, they have very like prescribed, you will do this assignment, and this is how you do the assignment. But then when you get into CNC and machining, the machine is what's going to tell you what it can do or can't do, right? So it's almost like this is a very deep dive, and if you just want to dip your toe into it, it's very difficult to just do it lightly.
Well, for my guys, it's mostly having the confidence to run the machine like it needs to be run. A lot of these guys don't come in and make dust, and then trying to get them to the point where they're actually making chips and not dust without snapping end mills. It's difficult, and again, same thing coming up with projects that teach that in a good way. We started using all Haas tooling, and I wish the Haas tooling feeds and speeds were a little bit better. Specifically for the milling aluminum stuff, the numbers are crazy that they give you. Like 8,000 surface feet, and then you do the calculation that says, oh, I need to run 119,000 RPM. So explaining to students, hey, no, this is how you calculate that, and just bring it down to the level of the machine, that's where my guys struggle.
I'll say that the feed and speed is always a funny one, because like I'll run this thing at crazy speeds, and people are like, oh, you can't do that. It's like, I'll break an end mill, it'll be fine. And have a student come in and be like, well, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to make an end mill explode, and push go, and then boom. I'm like, okay, now back it down 80%. So yeah, feed and speeds are fun.
All right, so for you people sorry, go on, Harrison.
Oh, I was just going to say, for speeds and feeds, one of the things that I figured out with Haas tooling that I absolutely love doing is going to Helical's website, finding the equivalent, and using their Machine Advisory Pro. Do that all the time. But
That's
yes,
exactly what I do too.
I hate the speeds and feeds for aluminum tools on Haas. It is insane when you look at it. It's like, okay, I got a 3/8 inch end mill or a 1/4 inch end mill, and you want me to take 14 thou feet per tooth? What is going on? Anyways, I'm almost done over here.
Yeah, they're 1/2 inch 3 flute uncoated. That thing, I love that tool. I use it for everything. That thing can eat, and it just eats and doesn't know it's there. And the first time I show a student, hey, I'm going to bury this full width, full depth, and 40 inches a minute through aluminum and just show you what it'll do. And they're like, no, that's going to break. And it doesn't break. As long as your machine's rigid. I wouldn't do that on the TM2. On the Micron, we'll do that, but that TM2 can't handle it.
So for everyone who's like doing a job shop kind of thing now, like when you were first getting started, like what was the biggest thing for you to learn? Like where was your first kind of barrier to entry?
Well, I'm still getting started. But basically just all the speeds and feeds, and then, like, okay, what tool path do I want to use for this? Like right now I just took that first job from Xometry, and it's like tool steel. I never machined tool steel, but I'm like, there's only one way to learn. So I'm just going to take it. And then I was actually bugging Harrison right before this. I'm like, hey, what, tool path do you think I should use for this? But I think it's mainly just the speeds and feeds, and then, figuring out the tool paths and stuff. But with each Xometry job, I've learned so much. It's been ridiculous, So speeds and feeds, I guess. And then also I'm kind of finding out that there really isn't a difference in end mills. Like I bought all these Frasias and high-end like Gucci end mills, and I'm like, they're working just the same as these Haas's that are like $30, So yeah, and then using that helical tip was like the best thing ever. Like I just spent look, check this out, 8 hours entering in all these end mills. This whole bag is filled to the top, and I had to get them into Fusion for Toolpath so I could have Toolpath work correctly with my libraries. So I was just sitting there like on helical for 8 hours, like entering every speed and feed, and so yeah.
I had a question and I lost it. Oh, well, in terms of quality end mills, there are times where I have definitely noticed a difference. But you have to be kind of on the edge, I think, before you notice a difference between a cheap and an expensive tool. Like if you're doing, fairly conservative machining, like the stuff from Online Carbide will work just as well as a Frasia. But when you really need to start pushing something, that's when the higher end tools can come in handy.
So we run all Haas tooling at the college. Recently, we've started looking at Ingersoll cutting tools, only because one of our adjuncts just got a job as a sales rep for them and has given us some of it. We're actually trying to set up to be able to buy through him, because it's more for turning. I know very, very little about turning tools. I did not hardly any turning in school, honestly, and we did no CNC turning at my last job. So I'm leaning on him a lot for turning tools, and Ingersoll's got some really nice stuff, but it's expensive. So hoping we can work something out there, but hostling for everything else for me.
We just switched over to Haas. For a while, we are just using purely helical, and it just was outrageously expensive. And we don't really have we run all sorts of material, so we can't really get like good tool life because I might be cutting aluminum, I might be cutting steel. And when you talk about the higher end tools for the higher end materials, we had an Inconel job, and we tried to do it with budget tools, and it was just a nightmare. So we ended up putting the money into it, and it worked out a lot better. But I agree with you that you don't really get the true value out of the big tools unless you're doing crazy stuff. But I've loved the Haas stuff so far.
It's a good tip. I appreciate that, AJ, because right now I'm still doing things slow as I learn, which I call like brisket CNC, like slow and low. So I'm trying to I don't want to mess up the job or break anything. So yeah, I guess once I get better, I'll find out about the higher end tooling and how good it works.
Right now, I'm using a lot of Online Carbide, and they are like cheap, but especially they have like a performance line or high performance line, whatever they call it, that's like variable flute. And that stuff has worked really well for me. It's worked as well or better than some of the Harvey tool stuff I've used. It kind of falls apart when you get into some of their smaller tools. The Harvey tool or the SGS tools are definitely better. But man, when you can get 10 of the Online Carbide tools for one of the Harvey tools.
Yeah. I've been playing around with some 7 flute Kennametal, or 7 or 8 flute. They're Harvey 4s, but it's a Harvey 4, but it's an 8 flute. And then, yeah, that's what it is. It's a weird naming thing. Anyways, and I can get just as good of performance almost out of the Haas tools 5 flutes in stainless than I have out of that Harvey. Although, or out of that Kennametal, not Harvey, that Kennametal. But admittedly, I think it's a limitation of my ER collets. And I need to get a hydraulic chuck or something else to be able to push it a lot harder. And so it might actually, that could be the other limitation for high-end tooling is your tool holding to be able to push it hard enough.
Is that something we could talk about real quick? About chucks? I'm trying to decide on whether to go with the Haas mill chucks. I got a mill chuck and I got a hydraulic chuck, but I'm like, I want to get like 10 of these things. So I'm like, which one should I get? I'm worried about that hydraulic. I've heard, it'll pull out. The mill chucks are stronger, but then you have this big old head. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's like asking which paintbrush is the best. So, I mean, there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all in any of those solutions. And honestly, to date, I've pretty much only used ER College, but I've talked to other people that have used other types. And you can get by with ER College, but I'm hoping to go to Power Grip because it seems to be the best all-encompassing. Like it hits your tolerances, it hits your grip. It seems like it can do pretty much everything pretty well, but there's definitely some that do better in very specific situations. Like my local machine shop, they will swear up and down by the Schunk hydraulic chucks. They absolutely love those. And for me, if I was to go outside of ER before I get up to Power Grip, then I would probably lean towards hydraulic over any of the other systems, because almost any other system besides hydraulic, you need some kind of machine to help assemble the unit. And you can get really good performance except out of the hydraulic stuff without needing anything additional. The only downside is going to be clearances, because they're usually a lot bigger.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I use a lot of the Schunk hydraulic stuff with this thing, and if you start pushing it, it will start pulling tools out of it, but you got to push it pretty hard. I like it just for like quick change. So like all my core tools are in the hydraulics, and then I have a whole set of ER stuff for the oddball stuff. But we've had conversation about heat shrink, but just the cost is insane. But
So we just had someone else join us, Chris Zajic from Zajic Precision. Do you want to do a quick introduce yourself, Zajic? Or I'm sorry, Chris. And Johnny, if you could look at the in-text chat, that would be good. Also, Chris, I muted you, so you will need to unmute yourself before you can talk.
That better? Okay. Name's Chris. The last name is Zyke.
Oh, no. I've said that wrong so many times. Why have you not corrected me?
That's all right. I'm used to it. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Zyke? Is that how you said it? Zyke. Oh.
Yep. So, but no, just have a little shop in the garage, mostly turning for the most part. Make some of our own parts and some gun barrels and stuff. So, I don't know, been in business probably about 4 or 5 years altogether. So,
Do you do the barrel threading on that Tormach 8L behind you?
yeah, yep. So,
How do you like that?
actually, it's a pretty good little lathe. I can't push it too hard, but I set up with gang tooling and stuff, and I think that helped a ton. So,
Good deal. I haven't talked to too many
Yeah.
people that have that one, and it looks like it'd be a fun little lathe just to have around to bang out some simple stuff here
Yeah.
and there.
yeah, but it's good. I do a lot of rimfire stuff, so it's good on the smaller barrels, but bigger stuff, you can't go through the headstock on it. So,
Gotcha. I do a lot lot of threading. In fact, I'm getting a bit of a backlog because we're so busy. And
oh, yeah,
and
there.
and I'm just telling these guys, hey, I'm busy, but I'll get to it as soon as I can.
Exactly. Yep.
But
So,
do you
but no, we got,
go ahead?
go ahead.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask you, when you indicate your barrels in, do you have like a forejaw, or do you indicate off of the center bore?
Uh, I set up, basically, it's a shop-made four-jaw.
Mhm.
It's sets up with the 5C collet. And then I got a spider on the other end. Then I dial in on the muzzle end if you're throwing the muzzle.
Okay.
So usually I'll indicate about the first inch or so it runs true.
I'll show you how I did it later. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do a shop tour, and when I do that, I'll pull out how I came up with indicating
Yeah.
in my barrels, because I've found that
Yep.
on some guns they can be as much as 10 thou out from the
Oh, yeah.
outside of the gun to the center bore, and
Yep.
and it's kind of
Exactly.
crazy, honestly.
Yeah. So I found too, when I indicate that first inch, say you're doing a chamber job, I'll dial in that first inch of the chamber area. And that muzzle end could be out 40, 50 thousandths I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good deal.
but, yeah.
So we can roll into Harrison's shop tour. I've never actually seen a shop, so I'm super curious about this.
Yeah.
But you said you needed like a guest code or something. Johnny,
Mhm.
what did you use as a guest code? Because I don't have a way of making a guest code.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was just gonna say I didn't want to butt in. I can't see or find a chat anywhere. So I tried to
Oh.
look, but I couldn't do that.
Sorry.
It was in the Taps and Patience email. If you clicked on the link to this episode, I guess it was right in. There's like a block there, and you just copy, paste it when you open the app, and it worked perfectly.
You got an email?
Yeah.
From who?
From you?
I'm guessing it was the Patreon, the post you made
Yeah.
on Patreon.
Is it just
Yeah.
the Patreon link? Is that
Yeah.
Harrison?
Yeah.
Try just copying and pasting this URL.
Well, I might have just gotten it. I'm trying right now.
Okay.
It's like a 6-digit code. It was in like a box in the middle, and it had a little like copy paste logo on there. But
Mhm.
I'm on an
Yeah.
iPhone. I don't know if it's an iPhone only thing, but
No, I just clicked on the link and it brought up and it said download the app or copy this link or copy this code. And so I'm trying
Yeah.
to enter.
So you
And
have
so
to have an
it's-
iPhone.
Yeah, and it's-
I don't.
it's-
yeah, there you go.
It's
There you go.
attempting to.
Wow, it's a good
Yeah,
thing we
so-
aren't actually recording this live because you just showed everybody your code. But
I thought the same thing.
I mean, it's the code. It's the code that it gave me from your link.
yeah,
So, is it the
I
same
know, but
code
if
that
we
you had? Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
yeah. If we had
saying.
live people who weren't
We did.
patrons, they could now all join. But that's fine. That's fine.
I was gonna say on that tool holder topic, I recently just grabbed one of those hot rods, like the Bolt Busters, off Amazon. And I'm on a BT30 machine, so the holders are a little bit smaller, but it was able to put in like 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch tooling with like the Meritool heat shrink tools in like 25 seconds. It's a pretty cheap way if you want to kind of dip your toes into that. No pull out, really good coolant access, good chip evacuation. Like I really like them. The hydraulics are definitely a little bit. He's on twice. The hydraulics are definitely quieter in the cut, but I have pulled them out even on the Speedio, which is not a real big machine. But Meritool also has like that. They've got their roughing version of the hydraulic holder, and that one's actually quite a bit stronger, and it's quieter too. You can go pretty hard on that one.
All right, you're up, Harrison. Oh,
Can
maybe
you
not.
guys hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
You were very loud.
okay, there we go. Turn that down. Turn that. All right. Am I still really loud? Or is it bearable?
You're
Okay.
good now.
I got to figure out how to rotate camera. Otherwise, nope, that's turning it off. Well, I might just have to like show you guys the other way then, just with the front camera.
Yeah, just selfie mode. That's
There we
fine.
go. Selfie it. All right. So
Is there
Instagram
a way
story
to blow
style.
him up?
we're right on a highway here. So I'm right next to the road. This is gonna be the front of the building. This is the front of the building, and we got a brand new logo that we're gonna be sticking up in here. And so that actually I just got told was done today. So that's gonna go up in here. There we go. And this is our kind of our entrance in. Oh, and I just locked myself out. Nice. Did you guys hear me? Because I can't hear you guys. There's just no one talking other than me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, no one's
Okay,
talking.
good.
We're all laughing that you got locked out.
All right, here we go. You're all muted yourselves. All right, here we go.
He has his keys.
As you come in, we kind of got our display cabinet, and kind of this is going to be the kind of the reception area right through here. And we got a little display cabinet of just some of the stuff we've made over time, and you know, some parts that are kind of pretty big that were kind of a fun to make. This one was kind of a pain in the butt because it had see if I can show this one real quick. It had a bunch of really tight bores on this side and this hole, and then it had to be clocked to this side because it had bearings on both sides. That one was a fun part, but it sucked. So we just got a bunch of almost all the parts I have up here tell somewhat of a story of different things that we've learned over the time. Like when we first got our 5-axis, this is the first part I did that as a tabbed piece to be able to do a one and done part. So anyways, they all kind of tell a story. Anyways, as we go on from here, this is going to be my office, so you guys can kind of see yourselves over there. So that's going to be my office, and then over here is going to be my cousin's office, and apparently he rolled the dice and got the bigger office. So then we got to have a little bathroom and little kitchenette thing. And here is going to be our inspection room. It's going to be separately heated and cooled to try to keep it at a good temperature. And so we're just kind of getting it set up. Right now I just have the one table, and it's full of a bunch of different inspection items. And then same down here. And then we got our gun safe in here. I should probably not show that. So this is one of the barrels that I'll show that what a customer's barrel that I'm going to show how I set up over there. And then this is going to be our server room. So for holding that kind of stuff. Then you're going to come out into the shop in here. So we'll just kind of give a little show around of what everything is. In here, this is kind of...
How many square feet is that?
So the whole building, it's a 40 by 80, and the whole building... Feel free to chime in at any time, otherwise I feel like I'm talking to myself. Especially because I can't turn the camera around. But the whole building's a 40 by 80, so it's a 3,200 square foot. And the front offices is taking up, I think, 18 feet, and then whatever's left for the back half. So yeah, feel free to interject at any point if you guys see anything you want to ask a question about. This is our kind of our dirty room. It's anything. We got tumbling, sanding, cleaning, grinding, sandblasting. We just got this thing when we moved into the new shop, and I absolutely love it. So that thing is
Who
amazing.
makes it? Because I'm looking for one of those right now.
Scat Blast.
Yeah, same.
Scat Blast. So it's really awesome.
Does it stay clear when you're blasting?
I mean, you can kind of look at it right there. It's here. You just flip the one switch, and it turns on the vacuum, and then it goes. I need to wipe it down. It's got some sort of a protective deal on it, but we had a hard.
We have one at the university, and when you use it, you can't see anything.
Yeah,
it sucks, dude. And then I watched a video the other day, and they were using a Snap-on, and you could see everything. And I was like, dude, I need that.
Yeah,
I've been looking into wet blasting because of the same issues.
Yeah. One thing I do like about this is it's got a foot pedal for controlling your flow. So it's so much better than having like a trigger on the handle when you're trying to control it that way. So absolutely love that. So anyways, that's our dirty room over here. This is our shipping station. I'm going to use this barrel as my pointing stick. And so anything that we ship out to a customer, whether it be through Etsy or, whatever customers we have, we'll ship it out through here. We got a little Surface tablet that we do ShipStation through, and just a little keyboard and mouse that we can kind of push everything out of the way while we're doing our stuff, and then we can bring it back over. And then we've got our label printer, and then a regular printer, and then a scale, and then we've got different stuff for packaging and keeping your parts, if it's round parts, putting it in there. And then we've got all this other packaging right next to it. So and then I don't know about you guys, but if you ship a lot of stuff and buy a lot of stuff, I don't think we've ever bought any packaging material ever. I think we bought this when we bought this whole station. And I'm sorry if you're gonna have to tell me if my camera's really bad because I'm just pointing. But I bought this whenever we bought this whole station 2 years ago, and I think I've used literally that much of the roll, hardly any. So just because we buy so much stuff and we ship out so little that, at least from a relative perspective, that our materials coming in is able to get packaged up and shipped back out. So,
all right, 1 second, Harrison. So we have a new podcast member with us, new Patreon member, Prescott from 1Z2Z Systems. Prescott, if you're ready now, you can introduce yourself, or you can wait a second if you want to collect your thoughts, and we can let Harrison do a little bit more.
I don't know about anyone else, but I caught about one word every 10.
Yeah, so Prescott, I'm sorry, you broke up on us a little bit there. Your audio will actually come across in the final recording, or at least it should. But we had a little bit of a harder time hearing you, and I'm sorry about that. So how did you wander into this trade then? You said you were trained, I think I heard you trained as an optometrist? So how'd you get into machining? Okay, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll try to talk a little bit more later. Next time you talk, I'm sorry, I still think you're talking and I can't hear you. But next time you talk, try turning off your camera. So he'll actually sound fine in the final recording. So I'm sorry, Prescott. I think we have a bad connection. Just try turning off your camera next time we talk, and that may save some bandwidth. Or otherwise, if you can find a better cellular point, or a better internet connection point, either on cellular or on a different Wi-Fi or something. But let's go back to Harrison for some more shop tours, so he doesn't have to stand out there the whole time.
That's all right. I probably need it. So right across from the shipping station stuff, this is our small material rack. And so we try to keep everything organized by what it is and whatnot. And it's also kind of a small history of failed products that didn't make it to market. So we'll see if this one rings a bell for AJ. So does this look familiar? I think someone was trying to make a pen. So that's from AJ. We did some AR-15 gun stands, and I did it as an Arkansas piece. And so actually, I have one over here. Just as a fun history real quick. So that stand right there. So we've got a Black Rain rifle on it right now, and it's got the Arkansas plate. And one thing that I thought was really cool is we put the county lines on it. We laser engraved the county lines. I don't know how well that's coming through. And put our Precision Ingenuity logo kind of up in the area where we're located. And so, fun failed products that we have tried to push out some here and there. And so there's some of that in this material. As we come around behind the material, we had several Prusa printers, and we ended up selling them, and we got ourselves a new Bamboo Labs P1S with the AMS on top. And so been loving that thing. If anyone's ever wants to get one of those things, they're amazing. And then this is our laser engraver. So whenever we go to do the coins for all you Patreon guys, we're going to do them here. And so this is kind of a pile of all of our test coins that we will, sometimes people want to have weird things laser engraved on them, and we'll find a bad coin and test it out before we machine a good one or laser a good one. Coming around, and I'll have a story about this. This is our current biggest machine. And so this is our Haas VF3 SSYT with a 5-axis trunnion. And right now I'm doing a run of 2,000 parts. And this is kind of, is that in shot? Can someone tell me if that's in frame? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Good.
And so right now we've got op1 on the top. We've got 4 pieces, and then I've got op2 on the sides all the way around. And so that was a fun fixture to design. And I ended up making a little piece like this, and this goes onto the inside of the op2 part to lock it down. And so that was just a fun little job that we did, or that we're in the middle of. And designing that fixture, I've got a what is it? A 0-point system, laying 0-point system. I'm going to make a second one of those. I'm going to put the 0-point system on there. That way I can load and unload offline. So I'm not standing in front of the machine, because when this is open, it takes me about 7 minutes to swap out the parts. And I can be doing that outside the machine. It's a 35-minute cycle, and that adds an extra 7 minutes. And so that adds up a lot for parts of this quick run time. As we move over, we've got our garage door that we come in to the side. On the outside, we have all of our recycling bins and trash. And so we've got it labeled aluminum, steel, stainless steel, and then trash. So we try to keep that organized. And for if you do recycle a lot of materials, it's good to keep the big chunks away from the smaller pieces. They'll give you more. And so Weston found these color-coded trash cans for the different material. So like if you're ever looking at like those different speeds and feeds stuff, you know, they'll do yellow for stainless, blue for steel, green for aluminum. And so we tried to match the colors for all the different types. And so they just have a whole bunch of scrap parts in them, or leftover remnants of material. And so that's kind of fun. This is going to be our new machine right here. It's showing up tomorrow. And this is the conveyor, obviously. The conveyor for the new machine. It showed up first. We got our rotary screw compressor. This is the grinder we picked up at an auction for dirt cheap. I haven't used it yet, but it was kind of nice to get. Right now I've got everything pushed into the corner because we're going to be getting the new machine tomorrow. And then our lathe. And to kind of go back to the gun stuff, push this to the side, out of the way. I obviously planned well for this. I don't see it right now, but we have some high temperature tape. And so what I will do is I will put high temperature tape kind of like right here and right here. And I've got this aluminum round piece that we can chuck up. And I've got set screws to act like a four jaw. And they're brass tipped. So the brass combined with the heat shrink tape on the outside. And then what that allows me to do is I can put the part in here, I can tighten it down. What I will do is I will stick a gauge pin in the front. I'll find the right gauge pin, I'll stick it out, and I'll get that true there. Then I'll pop this whole assembly out and I'll flip it around like so. And then I'll go to the furthest point out here, and I can't get to the inside most of the time because they usually have an action on them, but I will get an indicator on the furthest back point that I can get a good reading on, and I will adjust the back side of it, and then I will flip it back around to get it to the front side, and I will double check to make sure that my front side alignment is still good after moving the back end. And that's the way that I try to get everything as accurately as I can, and not relying on the outside of the gun, because usually most barrels are tapered and they're not centered. Any questions about anything you've seen so far? Because I feel like I kind of speed ran through some of that. Anyone?
I think we're going to pause for one more second on the tour. We have another Patreon member who has joined us. That is Jamie from JSpec Engineering. What time is it for you right now, Jamie?
It is stupid o'clock at the moment. It is now 2 minutes to 3 in the morning. It took a lot of willpower to get my fat ass out of bed. Especially considering we only finished machining shit at like 10 o'clock this last night. Had a job come in this week where the guy was like, oh, can we have 3 parts by Friday? This was on Tuesday. So, yeah, making plans because, yeah, my one mate who's doing the job still has to paint parts and polish them. And, yeah, he's going to have a bad time tomorrow.
So wait, did you stay up late or did you get up early to be able to get here at 3?
I had a nap and set an alarm. So I woke up my alarm went off half an hour ago. And then it took all the willpower to get here now.
I would not have done it.
Yeah, I considered missing it, but then I was like, nah, I think it'll be cool. So let me get out of bed.
And those.
Well, now that you're here, do you want to take a second to introduce yourself and your shop?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jamie from JSpec Engineering. We've got a little job shop running out of our garage. We got 4 CNC machines shoved in there. It's lots of fun. We do production turning on a little Emco that's as old as me, and on a lathe I retrofitted from 2000. And then we've got the sister Slowio, which is a mill I built, and that ran the business for 5 years until the beginning of this year when I bought a LK drill and tap sensor, and that thing has basically changed my life because it has an ATC and actually is accurate. But yeah, we get up to mischief in the garage.
Accuracy is overrated.
No, it's not. Accuracy is amazing. No, the job I ran last night, I think we ran at about an hour and a half per part last time, and now it's a 30-minute part, and it's a better part.
Oh.
So, like, significantly faster.
So what allowed you to push it so much faster? Was it just time and figuring it out, or was it better tooling? Or
4 times the horsepower and infinite times the rigidity.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, the machine I built was great for what it was. It was designed to be better than a Tormach 440 in every single way, like 10 mils of extra travel, and also got built on the 3rd story of a block of flats. So it was designed to go out the door, into the lift, into the parking lot. And for what it was great. It ran the business for 5 years, but it was becoming the limiting factor.
Yep. I've been there. We started out with the Tormach, and when I went up to the
I know.
it was massive. So I fully understand that.
Yeah, proper machines make a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, your shop tour is quite fancy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wish I could show some before and after of this place because you might be able to see a little bit of it over here. But it was just a metal building. It's an Adam Trust is the name of the company, but it was a metal frame with wood going between everything. And we basically reskinned the whole thing, did the floor, had a little office in the front that we completely tore down and rebuilt everything that you guys have seen thus far. It's been a Hercules, I can't pronounce things. It's been a big effort so far, but I've had a lot of family that's been helping us out. And so I can't complain because we've had our family come around and really just help us out. My dad especially in his free time, which he's a pilot. And so, he likes to joke that when he gets to go to work, it's a vacation for him. When he comes home, he actually has to work. And so while he's here and around, we put him to work, building the office in the front. And so it might be slower than normal contractors, but I like the rates. So, but anyways, we've done most of this work ourselves, pretty much all of it. The only thing that we've really brought people in to do has been some of the electrical, because we helped out with that. I helped run a lot of the stuff, but we actually had an electrician come and hook everything up. And then we redid the sheet metal on the outside. We hired a crew to do that, and then the front of the building. But everything else on the inside, pretty much we've done ourselves. And so it's just been paying for material in our time. So, and it's been a lot of fun and a lot of work, but I'm very proud. The only thing I would say though, is if anyone decides to redo a building, it was my dad's idea to put all this metal on the roof to kind of hide everything. And that is a great idea, except it makes it really echoey in here. And so like this machine is, everyone complains that the Haas lathes are really loud. I didn't notice it that bad in the old garage, but it had exposed insulation. When I moved it in here and it's bouncing right off that ceiling and then it's just coming out onto the whole shop, it is really loud. And I really don't like it now. a lot worse than it used to be. And so, it's just stuff like that you kind of learn as you grow and whatnot. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Do we continue with the tour or any questions about anything from anyone? Yes, no, maybe. No. Keep going.
Though, man, you led us to believe that your shop was starting to get tight and you didn't have much room for more machines in that thing. You've got like miles. You got tons of room in there.
So this, basically from that machine to the compressor, that all is going to get filled. And then as we rotate around, I've got room for a machine right here. And I've got room for a machine right here. All of this is my bandsaw and stuff. We're going to take all of this stuff and we're going to move it to where my old office used to be. I sit right there most of the time, but I'm going to move into the new office once it's a little bit further along. But we're going to move bandsaw and stuff right here. And then that'll give me room for another machine. And then technically I could have more machines kind of come down the aisle and I could fill out the aisle. But I'm going to lose forklift access as I do that. And so I've got room for 2 more. I mean, if I put a bunch of Speedios in here or like phone booth size machines, yeah, I could probably fit like 5 or 6 of them. But so far, most of my machines have been getting bigger, not smaller. And I'd like to get a couple more smaller machines in here. That Tormach, we had a Tormach that we sold, and it basically was about the same footprint as that grinder. And so, yeah, if I had like 10 Tormachs, I could fit a whole bunch of them against that back wall. So, like, it's not like I don't have space, but the machines I want to put in here, I don't have space. So, like, the machine behind Eric, I'm imagining would have a hard time fitting in here with our current space. Just because, I mean, it's not just the machine, it's all the stuff that goes around it. And, having access to everything. That's really the killer. Is it like you could put everything in there where it's basically shoulder to shoulder, but then if anything goes wrong, you're kind of hosed from a maintenance perspective. And so that's really the juggling act, is how close can we get everything together, but still not screw ourselves over in the future. So.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more that just want to spin you around here. There's the transformer for that machine. And then I'm actually up against the battery backup for it. So, yeah, it's a big machine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an awesome machine. I'm just sitting here and it's smiling at me like it wants to come home. So, that's awesome. So, that's my little shop tour. I don't got too much more that I could really show. But like I said, if anyone's got any questions while I'm out here, I can answer them or show you anything in a little bit more detail. If not, I'll switch back over to the computer and I'll get this machine running again. Anyone? Yes? No? Going once? Going twice?
You got plenty of space there.
Huh?
If you don't have to walk like a crab, you got plenty of space. My entire workshop, I moved the one machine last night. I don't have to walk like a crab through that section anymore. But to get into my workshop, you walk sideways between a workbench and the machine.
Yeah. Well, what?
Luckily, I've got the doors, so I've got access for maintenance on the back of the machine. But otherwise, like a crab through everywhere.
Well, what you don't realize is I need this big of a shop because I'm just as big, and so it takes a shop of this size, so I don't have to walk like a crab.
Oh no, 100%. You guys are doing a lot of big work. I tend to do more AJ style work.
Oh,
where I'm making tiny little bits and bobs, not as small as his stuff, but smaller parts rather than giant plates and giant stainless steel parts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've kind of joked that whenever we start getting a whole bunch of chips, it's like I look down there and I go, I see 30 AJ parts in there somewhere. So
I run tiny thing. Although I must say that LK, it's chip management is great until it isn't. Like I've filled up the whole front of the machine every 10 minutes, and you're scooping out aluminium shavings, and then moved to a proper roughing end mill, and that kind of went away a bit. But it's great until it isn't.
I haven't emptied my chip tray in 2 weeks, and I've made 200 parts since then.
These are all the small parts I think I've ever made in the history of the business. I think I've kept one of about everything, and that looks like AJ's world. That's all I see. All AJ parts. Yeah. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I was doing some mold inserts for a customer who does tool and die work, and it is my least favorite thing to try and hold super tight tolerance on my ancient lathe that I retrofitted. It can do it, but it's not pleasant. But I'm sitting with probably close on 1,000 pounds worth of steel shavings at the moment, between a job that I did in the beginning of July, which I just haven't got rid of the shavings, and this tool and die work.
We had some noise there for a second. I think that was Harrison switching his headphones or something, but I think we should be good. Jamie, you seem to have muted yourself. I didn't know if that was because you were afraid of the noise or what.
Yeah, I thought it might have been me, so just to be on the safe side, I'm muted.
Yep, no, it was Harrison. You're good. We can still hear you.
Okay, cool. We can blame Harrison. I like that. Yeah, I ended up doing a job in July where we were moving... now I got to do conversions. Basically, we're moving a kg and 1.2 kgs of material in like 9 minutes off a chunk of steel. We ended up having to do, I think it was 50 of each part. But I ended up filling up my entire chip storage in 4 days. It's the only problem with the small operation is managing all the swarf and the bar stock that's been sitting in my driveway for a month.
All right, I have another kind of group question here. If you have a camera, raise your hand to answer. Who here works with more than one person? Like who here, or maybe a better way, who here works by themselves? So, okay, there's most of us. Interesting.
Does enslaving my wife count?
Depends on how many hours a week she works.
Depends when I need it to be a button pusher or not.
Okay.
Yeah, she works constantly on my patients. But she actually runs production on the one lathe. Unfortunately, I can't bar pull the job just because of the fact that it's aluminium and my machine hates me. So she literally pulls the bar forward to a stop, hits go, and gauges every part coming off the machine. And she'll sit there for like 4 or 5 days and just run parts. She gets, I think it's about 20% higher throughput than I can get if I'm running between all the machines. So then she sits and listens to an audiobook and runs parts. It's great.
That's what I do all day.
Well, she was running my lathe yesterday. I had to go to site, set up my little MCO, set the job up, loaded a bar, went to site. Every half an hour she comes and just puts a new bar and hits go. And the thing made 250 parts yesterday while I did other stuff.
How many of you guys do Xometry work? Okay, so EJ, I want to talk to you a little bit about Xometry. You just recently started. Like, how's that going for you? And how's that A2 part going?
I'm used to getting suspended. It's going pretty good. And then I'm on that call every day they have with Alex Source at like 1 o'clock. And I basically just go on there to learn and see what all the problems that other people are running into. But it's going good. I mean, it's tough, but it's good. I mean, they really, they're holding you to hold those tolerances and stuff. And I don't know, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good for my learning, basically, is the reason I'm doing it, because I want to, like, do those parts and get really good before I, like, kind of jump out and pound the pavement locally. So... But it's been going good, I've been getting your guys' help and everything, and then the help on that call every day. But yeah, it's not easy, but it's pretty good. Well, I guess it's good, but I'm not really going for the money right now. I'm trying to get the experience. So if I was going for the money, then I don't know, that might be a different story, you know.
So do you only do welding currently for non-zometry stuff, or do you also offer machining for people?
Um, yeah, if somebody comes for machining, I haven't really had anybody come for machining yet because I haven't really advertised it. I guess there's just a local place right here next door that they've come for some machining. They actually sent some quotes and stuff. They wanted quotes today actually, but yeah, it's mostly like welding stuff, like aerospace stuff. I have my D17, so local shops, yeah.
So Johnny and Chris, you guys both do regular job shop stuff, right?
Yeah, but I honestly don't do that much work. Um, I have like four customers, and they kind of keep me on my toes because they never tell me when they're going to need stuff until they already need it. It's very typical, I'm sure. And so in between that, I've been doing some powder coating actually for one of my customers. And so that's been kind of helping fill in the gaps. Um, and I don't advertise to do that either because I just don't want to deal with the prep involved for typical powder coating. So it's just new material. It's basically like the equivalent of like an Xbox enclosure that they make. And then I do all the drilling and tapping for the heat sinks inside. Part of the reason why I went Speedio. And then, so I do all the powder coating for that. And then I got another, probably my second biggest customer does like drill rigs. So they build a lot of like gigantic steel parts. They've got like a big boring mill with like a 12,000 pound table capacity. But he's only got 2,000 RPM. And then he's got a older Fadal. So when they want like the smaller parts made, they usually kick those down to me, which is kind of handy. So I've been using the Matsuura primarily as like my steel machine. I've been running those parts on there, and then doing obviously the drilling, tapping, and anything aluminum on the Speedio. And then I've been kind of dipping my toes into a couple other avenues recently that are in the developmental stage. And then as I get a little bit better at this and get a little more sorted out, then I'm planning on looking for some more customers and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty basic, but I'm also by myself, so it keeps a guy busy. Um, I did apply for Xometry kind of to do the same thing that you're talking about, EJ. And they just were like, nope, Canada is not in the circle. So it's funny though, they let you like completely sign up and like select where you are and put your address in and everything. And then they wait till you've like fully loaded it all out to be like, oh yeah, no, you can't access the work. So that was interesting. I did have a look quickly at that manufacturer or MFG, it's called. I've heard mixed reviews and you have to pay like pretty much right away. So to be honest, I just didn't bother. Um, but the odd email does have a part in there that looks like it's something I could do. Um, but I've also kind of been dealing with being Canadian and on an island in Canada. And so getting materials and tooling and stuff like that, it just basically takes way longer here. So I wouldn't be surprised if half the stuff that came across there, I wouldn't be able to do it anyway. So I don't have high hopes for that, but they did say they are eventually talking about expanding to Canada. And if that's the case and it works out, so be it. But that's kind of the scoop for me.
So Chris, what are you just doing the gunsmithing stuff? Are you doing job shop work?
We're doing a little bit of job shop work. We pick up new customers every once in a while. I got probably a half dozen pretty consistent customers. Just doing a lot of odd parts. Then locally, we got a handful of guys. We're in big egg country, so doing shafts and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. But then, of course, we got our own products. We got enough work to keep us busy. So
Jumping in just for a second on the Xometry stuff, I will say for anyone who's thinking about Xometry, you learn so much through the Xometry jobs. I feel like that's what's actually made me a better machinist, is because it gives you an opportunity to pick jobs that are right on the edge of what you're comfortable with. And then you challenge yourself and you grow. And then the next time a job like that comes up, it's a little easier and a little easier. And then you look for the next thing. And you can, the nice thing about Xometry is you can always find something that's right there on that edge. And that's really the biggest benefit. And for us, our first year, I took home like a couple grand for the whole year. And so like it did not make enough money for me to survive. But what it did do is it built up our shop. It built up all of our tooling, all of our work holding, all of our tool holders. And so like every job, I wouldn't make anything, but the shop would get a little bit better, get a little bit more capable, get a little bit more efficient. And from that perspective, Xometry has been invaluable for our company. It might not be what we do every day to day, but it's definitely what built the foundation of what we've turned into.
I got 100% agree with you. That's the thing too about Xometry is I can look at a job and be like, can I do that or not? And I can just sift through versus like if the local businesses are hitting me up and it's like, oh no, I can't do that. And I'm just denying them. They're going to stop coming. So that's why I'm trying to build up my skills first, Oh yeah, I can do that. Sure. Just take it,
We've looked into actually using Xometry to just get students on machines. And I'm looking at, setting up and basically do the like management side of things of, if we have what's the typical like turnaround for some of the Xometry stuff? I've actually never even, I know it's quick, but I don't know, is it like a couple days or like?
It can be from yesterday to 2 months.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cause we're looking at like, essentially we have like, say we got 2 weeks on a job. First week, any student can do it. And then if that falls through, then we'll take up the slack and do it in the shop. So we've been looking at trying to figure out a way to partner with them and figure out how to do like a project management more or less, because we got a lot of idle spindles that would be nice to have on.
So I just pulled up my job board, just scrolling down it. August 20th, August 29th, August 21st, September 11th, August 22nd, August 29th, August 23rd, September 4th, August 26th, August 22nd, a bunch more August 22nd. So 22nd is a little over a week. So basically it looks like it's between 2 and 3 weeks on most of my stuff, or most things on my job board. A lot of the jobs I take are due like in a day or two, because they are far more willing to give you more money when you're close to the lead time. And I almost never take a job at face value on Xometry.
So AJ, you can sort by longest lead time and shortest lead time. And for me, I have parts for tomorrow as my shortest, and then my longest is September 25th. So a little over a month.
I've really never done that before.
I know that my boss has talked to Xometry directly about like setting up, because we have metrology, we have the whole like gamut, and that's something that they were like super excited about. But then I'm also like, well, if I'm relying on interns and students to do a lot of the work, I got to be able to pick up the slack if that doesn't, work. Because I know if you miss a part or you miss an order, you kind of get dinged pretty quick. So trying to figure out how to manage that. And Xometry hasn't really been really great for as like, hey, I want to see what it's like. They really are like, hey, you're doing parts now, and it doesn't really give you an option to say like, is this an option? So it's good to hear.
Yeah, if you take a job, be prepared to do it all yourself. So if I was going to do anything with students in Xometry, what I would do is I'd be like, okay, I have this part. I know it's going to take me 3 days to do, but it's got a 10-day lead time. And so I will give the students, up until 4 days before it's due or 3 days before it's due, whatever time gives me a little bit of a buffer. And then they can attempt it. And then I would definitely be if I was partnering with Xometry in a school environment, you would have to validate every part's quality and double check the student's work before you send it out. And so I could see a system like that working, but it would be a lot of work for you. And I don't know if the students would recognize the true benefit of that. Some would, but realistically, you'd have to have really good investment from the students. And if you had like a couple of like, maybe you have that as a perk of being like the top person in the class or the top, 3 people, 3%, 5%, or you have to have an A or some sort of like, this is a bonus. You're going to get some real world experience, but you have to prove to me that you want to do it and that you can get it done in a timely manner. Because if you don't do it, then it's gonna put more work on me. And so I'm willing to give you guys this opportunity if you guys are willing to put in the work and show and prove to me you're dedicated to getting it done in a timely fashion, so I don't get shafted.
Yeah, and your score will get dropped big time too.
Yeah.
Like I just had one part that wasn't bad. That was bad because I miscalculated. So I made the wall. I hit my numbers, but I hit the wrong numbers, and my score went from like 90 to 75.
Okay.
All the jobs stopped on the job board, and then now I was under review, and I had to like get on there and like, hey, what's going on, and work out this whole thing until I got jobs again. And now I finally got a job, and I took it, and then now my board went empty. So I think they're letting me take a job, but I can't look at any more until I'm done. So if the students messed up one job, that could mess up everything for you.
Yeah. So the way I would want it, both as a student, and I think would maybe be safer to run it, would be to offer a club or a class or something. It's like, this is the Xometry class where the students sign up for their own account. They do their own work, and they're responsible for their own stuff. But like, you are there to help them and guide them. And they can make money. They can get real world experience making real parts. And then it doesn't come back on you if and when they mess up.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I love that. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I would have loved that as a student.
Yeah.
Because then they can take that money and buy a 440 or something, stick it in their dorm room, and slowly spin up a business.
I worked all throughout college. If you could have told me that I could have done job shop work at my university to pay for my education, I would have been like, where do I sign?
Yeah, we have. The school has a weird deal where you can use any of the equipment. And then if you actually do have a business and you actually do start making money, they have like 20%, 30%, take kind of thing. So there have been students that have started full shops using all of our equipment. The potential's there. Trying to get a student to actually do that is another thing. But I know that there's been at least one company that's been started on campus, and then they went off and did their thing. Again, trying to get students motivated, like, hey, you can actually make money. Like, no upfront investment, use the equipment, get going. So trying to trying to figure out all those details has been kind of difficult when Xometry, like I said, you have to fill out all the paperwork and then here, give us the parts. Like, well, I want to figure out if this is what I want. So,
see, that's crazy because like we sell Christmas ornaments every year for part of our club that goes back into scholarships for students. When I first started doing that, they freaked out. Like, we had to get the foundation to buy the material because they didn't want us to use state-bought fund or state-bought material, and it was a big thing figuring out, like, you got to do all the taxes on it, sales tax, all that. Even though it's, Christmas, we were selling for $15 a piece. We sold like 40, stuff like that just to go back to the students. But, yeah, the North Carolina is like absolutely not. You cannot make any money out of the shop, period. Like, there's forms to fill out, even if you're doing like one thing for your brother or something. Like, they're super serious about you will not make any money from the shop, period. Wow. So it's cool that y'all are able to do that.
Yeah, because we have a separate company. We can actually hire students on as interns. And now, I have a few interns that are working this summer, and they're specializing. We have one specializing in CT, one reverse engineering, and we're actually sending them real parts. And then when the semester hits, they will drop their hours down from full time, but they'll still be able to work with us. So we have a weird relationship where we can actually do some cool stuff. We're not shackled by the traditional education system.
Yeah, I even at the university I teach at, they have no problem if I come and use their machine to make parts for my business. And I've suggested to them, hey, if I hire a student or have someone as an intern or whatever, can I have them make parts, for me on that machine? And they're like, oh no, as soon as I bring in that, they don't mind if I use it, but if I have another student make parts on it, that's a huge no-no at that point. And it's like, okay, I get it, but at the same time, I'm trying to teach them and have them use that machine and then have them make real parts. Because I can't just have them make, I can have them make just random bits and bobs, but there's only so much I can do with, what I can come up with out of my head to make things.
Yeah, we kind of pushed it to the extreme. Being in Vermont, we actually have a ski lab where they can actually manufacture their own skis and snowboards, and then we actually have a ski hill they can actually test it out. But we kind of go extreme with what students can do, and typically they'll come to one of us and have like a pretty simple idea, and then by the time they're done talking to us, it's this big blown up like crazy. They're doing failure analysis, CT, and all these other crazy things. So that's a good way to get students engaged by hey, you want a simple part? Let's make it complex.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my marketing things that I do to get students interested. Is like, look, I can't sell parts or anything like that, and you really can't. But if you have an idea, you want to make it, I'd rather you make your own cool idea because you're going to be interested in it than make the random useless part that I have that just teaches the process. And I think the coolest thing we've done so far is have a student make a goose call. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, we make stupid stuff like, not stupid, but it's artsy stuff. And the school, I'm fully going to be honest, I stole this from my old boss at another college. But that was his program. But we make stuff like that, and that's the cool stuff we show off. But, yeah.
Yeah, if we have a student that puts the effort in and puts the engineering in and design and CAM and all that, we have the state of the art equipment that can do crazy stuff. So come on in, let's go. It's definitely nice to be a part of. But then to see a student that they walk in as a freshman and they see stainless steel 3D printers, they're like, I could never run that. It's like, well, no, if you actually have a part and you can justify to me why it's got to be stainless steel, let's do it. And so that's a huge benefit. But again, marketing, no one knows that we're here.
Yeah, and I also feel like you're going to spoil all these kids. They're going to come out of school and they're going to be like, oh man, I want to make my own machine shop and get going. And then they go and they buy, a Tormach or even a Haas at this point, or, something else. And they're like, man, this is not the same as what I had.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I actually did a career change. I spent 20 years as a firefighter paramedic, and then I was like, oh, I want to start my own company. And then so I went to school, and then I was like, wow, this stuff's expensive. I'll just stay at the school and play with this stuff. Kind of the same thing. I've done internships at other companies, and it's like, you guys are in the Stone Age. And it's like, well, my students aren't going to be interested in your company because you're not even using modern machining techniques, right? When high speed milling is a big deal in your shop, that's kind of crazy. We were trained on that. That's how we came up through. So it's you're definitely right though. When you leave here, it's like, oh, now I'm using Tormach's a great machine, but if you're used to using this thing, there's a difference.
Yeah, we run into that a lot locally. A lot of our shops, the newest thing they have is 80s model Fadals, and I'm like, yeah, okay. No, we have one or two shops that's got a new Mazak lathe, but other than that, unless they get on base, they're not touching anything new. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've had 2 or 3 NASCAR shops from Charlotte area reach out and hey, do you have any graduates? And I'm like, I want to go. And they're like, our students are like, well, we don't want to move. It's a 4-hour move. And I'm like, dude, you've had an opportunity to go work in a NASCAR shop. Come on. But
yeah, Vermont's got a lot of weird aerospace and defense stuff, but we hide it so well. You see the beautiful Green Mountains, but then in the valley there's a massive shop making missiles. We work for a space company that's doing some crazy engineering in the space world, and they're just in Vermont, which is insane. But they were sending a lot of their parts to Texas and all these other places that are known for machining, and then we're like, hey, we're we're right down the road, and so that's how we kind of got a little bit of work from them. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, and our students don't even know that this stuff is around. You know, they think, oh, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to move out of the state and go do something cool. It's like, you can do cool stuff here.
Yeah, all of our students come in and say, well, we want to work at FRC, and that's all you ever hear. I'm like, okay, there maybe in a few years when the F-35 comes in and starts needing more work, but for right now, they're hiring like 1 or 2 machinists a year. Like, they're not going to hire 30 of y'all. It's just not happening. Now, 10 years ago, yeah, they had 300 machinists. Right now, not so much.
Right. We have a company that started a couple years ago, it was Beta. They're producing an electric aircraft, and they bought it's something like 6 or a dozen of these things. And now they're like, all right, we've got these great tools. Who can run them? And then there's nobody. So it's definitely one of those things where if I have a student that can learn this stuff, like I have a job for you tomorrow. And it's, trying to get people to realize that stuff is kind of the hardest part.
I like to joke in my area, my competition is going to age out. So if I can get going today, then in 5-10 years, I won't have competition because they'll all be retired.
All right, so another kind of group question. We probably need to start thinking about wrapping up, but we have at least 10 or 15 minutes left here. But group question. Where are you guys seeing that manufacturing is going in your area? To start with, my area, it's a lot like Harrison. We have a lot of old shops that were probably very nice and high-tech in the 70s and 80s, and they haven't changed, and now they are all going out of business. And we're even starting to see some kind of bigger shops in our area close down, like bigger stamping facilities and stuff. And I think a lot of that really is because they aren't getting on technology. But I'm curious, like in your guys' areas, like, are there a lot of new shops popping up? Are there a lot of old ones closing down? Like what's happening in manufacturing for you guys?
I guess I'll start. It's kind of the same thing. A lot of the older shops are going to be closing soon-ish. I mean, there's 1 or 2 that they'll get a new machine every 15 years and kind of band-aid the rest of them back together. I have a shop that just got their first CNC after like 20 years. They, on a literally dirt floor shop, excuse me, I just hit my mic, went and got a VF4 and a TL2 out of nowhere. Or literally dirt floor shop. And don't know how that's working out for them, but other than that, on the other end of the spectrum, we have, a Marine base that I think they're one of the largest fleet readiness centers, so I'm not worried about them going anywhere, but that it's defense work, so it goes up and down. They do all the Marine Corps rework on the airplanes, so when we have a new airplane come in like the F-35, it's going to be a while before they're really hiring. So that's kind of where we're at. It's 2 ends of the spectrum there. The smaller shops locally are going to be dying off because they're not willing to put forth the capital and buy the machines. And then hopefully there's some new guys that come up and understand, hey, I can really get in a market here. You get that one shop that gets a machine and gets in some automation and can really run the parts that we need run around here, and they'll make a lot of money. And hopefully 10-year plan is I want to get a machine myself, but they're expensive. Still trying to pay off my house, so.
Yeah. So I would say probably in our area, we didn't have a lot of manufacturing. A lot of it kind of went out, way back in the day. And now there's a lot of companies starting up, and there's like a lot of like investor money and like big showy, but then they don't actually make anything. So it's one of those, like, it looks really good, but it might go bust. I know there's a bunch of like government programs trying to like revitalize everything and get everything kind of going. But I think the shops that kind of like watch, let's say they just watch YouTube and like do these kind of things where they're actually interacting with each other are going to be a lot better off than the hermit shop that doesn't actually reach out to anybody. These shops kind of have to realize that if you want new talent in, you got to have new cool stuff. And if I go work anywhere else, I mean, it's gonna be tough to beat the machine I'm working on now. And then when you come into if the schools are starting to step up, that's another thing too. Is like you start working on these nice machines, and then you go work on a Bridgeport, right? That's kind of seems like not a lot of people are going to get into it. So yeah, we have a lot of new investment, a lot of big potential, but not a lot of just track history, I guess I call it. But hopefully it goes well.
Well, going off of that point, I was just sitting here thinking, so much of the old shop mentality was hold everything to the chest, don't tell anything what you're doing, and so much of this new YouTube generation, it's like, man, I want to show everything that I can, and then the next guy wants to do that, and the next guy wants to do that, and so the knowledge and the growth rate is just exponential the more people do that, and it really is giving back to the community and lifting everyone up. And so much of these old shops, they just want to keep their head down and do what they've been doing forever, and you try to ask them for help on something, and they're like, we can't talk about any of this. This is state of the art stuff. We can't do it. And then you're like, well, what have you been doing? Well, we've been doing it the same way for 50 years. And it's like, then it's not state of the art, dude. It's not.
Yeah. So one of the things we started relatively recently is we have BSH Home Appliances right on the road, Timmins. They make all the Bosch or Thermador dishwashers or cooking for all of North America. I actually did my apprenticeship there on the electromechanical side. They started a tool and die apprenticeship with us. They hired 2 students. But as far as machining goes, they're not doing a ton. It's more, traditional subtraction machining. They're doing a little bit of grinding, but for the most part, they're maintaining dies and changing out. But I got 2 students that are going to start their second year of the apprenticeship. They're getting paid almost, I think, $18.50 an hour to sit in class. So they're on the clock when they're in school. Full health, dental, vision, 401k, vacation. We do Skills USA competition. Bosch paid for them to go to Skills, both states and nationals. They were on the clock while they were there. But it's 2 students, not 30. So it's weird. But more places need to do that, I think. Like, these apprenticeships is where it's at, and Europe kind of does that a lot better than we do.
Yeah, I noticed South Africa, we had a lot of mining going on. A lot of the mines have shut down, so you see these old shops. One of my customers, they rebuild valves, big valves, like 12-inch, 24-inch diameter pipes for the mines, big one-way valves and whatnot. And like, they don't even get new castings made. They pull the old ones, weld up the surfaces, remill it on a boring mill from 1902. It's old school. They bought a CNC lathe about 3 years ago. I programmed it. They run the programs I made, and that's it. It makes spindles for the valves. They bought a milling machine off of me in December to make the nuts that go on those shafts. I programmed all of that, verified everything. They put material, load part, hit go. Like, there's no technology in those shops. And that seems to be a relatively common thing here. The shop I was at today, yesterday, I was installing digital readouts on a lathe for them. And they had a lot of work and they didn't upgrade their equipment. And now they can't get new work because their stuff is outdated. Like, they've got an older Kuma lathe. Yeah, it's on because you can hear it from next door. And they've got an old mill that gives a Z fault. It's an old Fanuc, like not even an OM. It's like predating that. This thing's flipping ancient. And they drill hole patterns on it. So it's fine, but it's definitely not modern by any measure. And that tends to be the trend you see here. You do get the shops, like the one shop they've got, I think 2 or 3 big boring mills, bunch of grinders. They're old mining and tool and die shop, but they've also got 15 CNC machines that are relatively new, but everyone complains about their price because they've got new equipment so they can charge appropriately.
So you brought up casting. One of our government customers, they're waiting 3 years for parts and for casting, and they're just like they can't fight a war or maintain equipment that. So a lot of our metal printer work is actually for casted, what traditionally casted parts. It takes 3 years. We can do about 50 hours. So that's kind of where our center's heading with it. But again, big investment.
Well, there's a shop, they do casting patterns, and these oaks I think the guy bought a router a year ago. Did the I like to make stuff fusion course so that he could actually model stuff. Still hasn't run his router. He phoned me the other day, can I come through and just check everything? They had all the DB boards rewired in their workshop and just wants to check the machine is still okay. But they do everything by hand. Because for them, like they'll make a core by hand, make a mold, cast 8 of them and glue them in out of resin rather than machine them because it's quicker than learning to machine. I'm like, dude, yes, it's quicker now, but it's not quicker in the long run. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of that where guys are kind of stuck in their ways in the old school kind of ways. Where I used to work, they had 2 Kitamura Marcenter X3s from the early 90s. When I was there in 2018, those machines could still make a near perfect circle. Like, those machines were magical. And I was chatting to an ex-colleague the other day who still contracts to them. And he was saying they're running the machines like a manual machine. Select axis, spin the MPG. That shit used to wind me up to no end. And that's how they're running these 2 machines now because they don't have anyone to program it. But yeah, like fusion is not hard. Just learn to do it. Look, it's really not difficult.
I have a local machine shop that I try to help every once in a while. They've done a lot for us. They've helped us out a lot. They're really good friends. And their head machinist, they had a program. They have, Mazaks from like 2016, relatively new machines. And they had a part that came up and they wanted me to run it for them or program it for them. And so their head machinist was like, oh, I didn't know my machine could move in more than 2 axes at the same time. And so it was surfacing on, a part. And so, everyone in the shop, they're all crowding around watching this machine they've had since 2016. And it's one of their older machines. And they're all like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And it's just like, seriously, guys, this is a ball mill making a surface. This is not magic.
We have a granite shop that invested in CNC, but then again, same. Everyone's saying that no one can program it. So the story is, I haven't actually seen it. The story is they actually took the controller off the machine and put joysticks so that the operator can sit there and manually move the machine. And granite takes a while to work anyway. So imagine sitting there for 8 hours, 10 hours a day just joysticking it. It's crazy.
Speaking of granite, if anyone wants a massive granite plate, I'm talking like 11 foot by like 4 or 5 foot wide by 2 foot thick, let me know. Free.
AJ definitely
Free.
needs that to measure his parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can fit 200,000 parts on that piece of granite.
Wait, is this a measuring surface? Because or is this just like a boat anchor?
It would need a lot of So the story behind it is it was a massive CMM that was donated to the college. Sometime after I graduated, they sold the machine on surplus. The guy was supposed to take everything. He came and stripped down the CMM down to just the plate. Left the plate. So now I've got a massive, I think we did the math, it was like 20,000 pound plate sitting in between. It's sitting outside in between our shop that we can't move. Don't know how he got it there. And can't figure out how to get rid of it. And I've called every CMM company. I've called headstone companies. Like, does anyone want this thing? You pay to ship it, you can have it. And just cannot get rid of this thing.
You could make it into one hell of a router.
Yeah, well, so the instructor before me tried to cut it with a concrete saw. So there's a gouge like 3 inches deep through one end of it. But there's still probably 8 foot of plate that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's been sitting outside, so it would need to be resurfaced. But it's got the stainless bolt, so you can bolt stuff down to it. It's great. But you got to get it from Eastern North Carolina, so that's the hard part.
It could be an extension to our driveway. It sounds like just stick it out there and have a granite driveway.
I'll post some pictures in the Discord later.
Does anyone
right.
have? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
AJ.
go on.
I was just going to say, we normally do read a Q&A. Does anyone have any quick questions that they have for either me or AJ or for anyone else in the group? Honestly, just any general questions that they'd like to pose.
Got a challenge, I guess. So I've got a grant that I get every year that I use to give out toolkits to our students. I'm looking to spend max about $400, and I need suggestions on toolkits. I've got right at around $6,000 to spend. I'm trying to max out 400 per student. Just any suggestions y'all have.
Is this for stuff to run on the machine, or is it for them to help them just in the machining area in general? Are we talking cutting tools or measuring equipment?
So currently we give out a toolkit off Grainger, an Insize toolkit that's got 0 to 1 mic. It's got a digital caliper, drop test indicator, dial indicator, mag base, and a micrometer stand. But it's not a super high quality toolkit. It's Insize. It's also, off Grainger, so not really cost effective. And I'd like to get a better kit. It's just no one sells kits other than Mitutoyo sells one, Starrett sells one, Insize. The Mitutoyo and the Starrett ones are incredibly expensive or extremely bare bones. So I can put together a kit. I don't have a ton of industry experience. So if y'all have suggestions, let me know. And I'm in Discord
If you could work something out with Haas Tools, that might be the most cost effective.
I can't buy anything Haas because it's the Gene Haas grant. That's the So you can't use their grant funds to buy their tools because they're a 50 the grants through a 501(c)(3). So I can't buy anything Haas branded.
That would make their money go further. It's like I'm giving you money and now it's costing me half the cost.
Yep, and so especially because Haas has been coming out with a ton of metrology stuff lately, and it's cheap and decent.
Yeah.
They've got a really nice toolkit. I actually won one at a Skills USA national conference, but can't use any Haas stuff.
I wonder if Shars could put together a kit for you.
Might be worth looking into.
Again, because they're pretty cheap and they're decent.
Yeah. Which I'm okay with buying Mitutoyo stuff. It's just I want to get the best bang for the buck, and I'm trying to max $400 per student. So we buy them for all of our first year students. So I've got 9 currently signed up. There's one more spot until Monday. So I'm probably buying 10 toolkits, $400 a piece, and then later in the year we also buy all of our students steel-toed boots, so that when they go into industry, they've got a nice pair of steel toes instead of going to Walmart and getting the cheapest thing they can get and then killing their feet like I did.
I don't know of any tools, but if I could find a way to rebrand Haas stuff, I think I have a new business idea.
Yeah, I've even tried. So our HFO is Phillips Corp, and we tried to go through them, but we have to. Haas doesn't tell us how we can spend the money; they tell us how we can't. But then at the end of the year, we have to send, "Hey, this is what we did with your money." So, but I mean, it's the easiest grant I think there is to apply for. They want the machining instructor to write it. They don't want the grant department to write it. They want the real information, and they just give you money. Like we got $10,000 last year. So, and all of that has to go to students. I can't use any of it for shop improvements or anything like that. So every dime goes to students.
fucking cut in there. That's a really good point with the footwear thing because before I got into this, I was like a machine operator, so I'd run like excavator, bulldozer, all that kind of stuff. Spent a lot of time on my ass. And then I was standing on concrete in front of these machines, and I tell you what, I noticed a big adjustment with my lower back and legs and knees and everything. And yeah, I had to go get some of these like they're kind of goofy looking. They're called Hoka shoes. I don't wear steel-toed here because I'm by myself and I don't usually make anything super heavy, but yeah, they're goofy looking, but man, they make a difference. I just kind of went to like the running room. It's like a sneaker shop here, and the guy was like, "So what are you looking for?" And I told him, I'm standing on concrete, and he's like, "Follow me." And it wasn't even like he's like, "This is here, this is the one," or whatever. And so I don't have any recommendations for like steel-toed boots or anything like OSHA certified or anything like that, but it's definitely a good point. And then the other thing is like we've all kind of been there where we're using our safety squints, and I don't know, like if you've got a good quality pair of safety glasses that are comfortable and like you can actually see through them and they don't like warp your vision or whatever, you're going to be way more likely to put them on. And so that could be an idea too. I don't know who makes a really good quality, reasonable cost glass, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so we provide safety glasses to all of our students. Just because if we don't, they won't wear them.
Yeah.
We actually got a fair amount from Ingersoll Cutting Tools. It helps that the adjuncts, one of their sales reps. But that and 3M makes decent. I mean, they're safety glasses, so mostly cheap. But we keep a good stock of those, again, because if we don't, they won't wear them. But yeah, no, I wear Brooks running shoes in the shop because of the same reason. I'm not required to wear steel toes or safety shoes, but all the shops around us require them. So if they're going to go into industry, we try to get them at least one pair decent. Just because we've all done that. Hey, I'm going to go to Walmart and spend $80 on a pair of steel-toed shoes, and then you hate your life.
I'll just say these Origin boots, 100% made in the USA. I only wear boots like pretty much all day long, and these Origins are by far the best boot. I've had Red Wing, I've had every boot there is, and these are the best boot, like by far. Like they just feel like tennis shoes on. So
I've looked into them. The problem that I run into is they're not sold locally, so it's hard to get for that. We've got a local shoe shop. We actually have an account with them. We go down there with students and have them try on shoes. That way they're not worried about returning them. And because it's also with grant money, it's weird. We can't have them buy it and then return it because they can't get it as cash. So we have to be careful with that. But if I could buy Origins locally, I'd get them because I love their stuff.
Yeah,
their pants apparently are.
Maine, so
yeah, apparently they've got blue jeans that are really good too, like hold up really well.
Yeah, all their stuff is so rad, and it's just cool to be supporting USA manufacturing.
I know Fireball Tools did a video on boots. I don't know who he toured a factory that make boots in the US, and they had a whole thing on how to make your boots comfortable. So like, for instance, my safety boots, I got slip-ons, the insoles have worn out. Like you put new insoles and all of a sudden your shoes are new again and comfortable for like 2 or 3 months, and then you yeet those things and put new insoles in. Because I mean, yeah, you're on your feet all day. You can't underestimate good shoes. Like it makes the world of difference. And then also I had a question regarding coins. Staring at.
I did my part. I did my
you
part.
did your part.
It's
okay.
not me anymore.
Okay, no, that's
it's
fine.
on me now.
Okay, no,
It's on me now.
Because IMTS is coming up, and I plan on seeing you guys there. And since shipping to sunny South Africa is a shit show, I figured I would like to pick it up in person.
We could do a poll maybe for everyone that's not here and see if you wanted to just plan on me bringing them all to IMTS or if you want them shipped or something. If everyone's planning on being there
through Patreon.
Yeah, so we could do a poll, or we could just say, if you're gonna be at IMTS, we'll just give them to person at then. And then let me ask you guys a question. Seems like you guys the subject of coins came up. I've been going back and forth about putting you guys' name on each individual coin or just having a generic one. Do you guys want your name? And if you want your name, do you want like how you signed up on Patreon, or do you want your actual name if it's something different? Like how would you, if we do put your name on the coins, like what would you want? Or would you just need to send out a survey and have each one person fill it out individually?
I think a survey.
I can also do that through Patreon.
Yeah, I think a survey through Patreon might be the best because I don't actually know what I want on my one.
Okay, because because I want to make sure that if I want to have some generic coins, but for all those that have supported us the most and have been there from the beginning, I want to do something special to the coin to make them individualized. That's the main thing I've been struggling with, figuring out what I want to put on there, and then I'll send AJ some stuff so he can look at them, and then maybe he can post them to the Discord or whatever's the best method to send them out. So
while we're doing administrative details, after only 91 episodes, I have finally bought the domain for this podcast, and I'm going to stand up a website. I've started working on it a little bit. Nothing's live yet, but my plan is actually to do it as a wiki, using like the same Wikimedia template or whatever you want to call it that Wikipedia uses. And I'm going to upload all of the text transcripts of our episodes and like leave a section where if you guys want to make notes or whatever, you can do so. I think that's the most useful kind of website that I could think of, is that way you guys have a directory of episodes. You can search them so that you can find something that happened in an old episode if you need to go back to it. And then again, it'll give you guys a place where you can make comments or ask questions or something. So if anybody has suggestions on what else to do with that, I am open for it.
Working hard in a little
it's that time. Awkward outros. We've got so many people we can include in our awkward outro this time.
Everybody better give the awkward goodbye.
So, guys, literally, thanks for hanging out with us this time. I'm not talking to the air this time. You guys are actually in front of us, so I love that. We definitely need to make this a habit of doing it like once every, I don't know. We don't need to do it every 90 episodes because that would way too long. So, I don't know, maybe every 10 or something. But anyways, guys, it's been great to hang out with all of you. I've really enjoyed hearing from all of you. And I honestly, we just need to have each of you on here as a guest one-on-one so I can delve deeper into your guys' backgrounds, because this has been awesome. But anyways, this has been Harrison with Precision Ingenuity signing out with AJ, Karladowski, Micro, and everyone else that I'm going to not remember all their names of.
And Prescott, I'm going to get a hold of you. We'll try to get you back on an episode. I know we had connection issues. I'm sorry about that.
Awesome. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Now that it's 4 a.m., it's time to go to bed.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Thanks for having me
Bye.
on. That was fun. Appreciate it.